Expand your mind and enrich your world. It's time for another outstanding podcast from ICRT.
Welcome to another podcast edition of Taiwan Talk. I'm Keith Manconi. Starting your own business can be extremely rewarding, but it can also be ridiculously hard. It's especially true when you have to carry out your business in a new country with a different language, different culture, not to mention different laws. So today, we're speaking with the Entrepreneur Society of Taiwan. It's a group that helps out entrepreneurs by holding regular events in Taipei for networking and for spreading the information business owners need to know to run a startup in Taiwan. Now, what caught my attention about this group was that they hold all of their events in English. And when we got the group's founder, Jeffrey Ling, in studio, he told me this isn't just to help out foreign entrepreneurs in Taiwan. These events can also make a big difference for local Taiwanese. Jeffrey says the idea is to create a safe environment for local and foreign entrepreneurs to come together.
A lot of entrepreneurs in Taiwan, the way I see it is that they've been talking about, how do we go outside of Taiwan? A lot of them are not really that international in terms of mindset. They're focusing a lot more on the local market. But what we're trying to do is to encourage people to think more outside of the Taiwan market, because the only way you can go to become really big, to become valuable, is if you go international. So, and it doesn't mean that you have to go to the States or go to Europe or go to elsewhere to become international. There are a lot of there's a huge international community here in Taiwan already. Why don't you? And the way I see it, I say, go and meet those people who are already here. They will provide you with a lot of insight about where they're from and whether or not your product or your service will actually work in their countries. So before you go out, the market is already here in Taiwan. And so, in a sense, you can actually get a lot of insights, get a lot of things done before you move to the countries that you have intended to move to. And so that's what we're trying to achieve with EST, that you have, this is the safe environment I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. You don't really have to venture out to a really foreign country, not knowing anybody there. Here in Taiwan, you can do it very safely. You can do, there are a lot of people you can meet, there are a lot of things you can already do before you can, towards that international thing that you want to do.
Right, and this is important because if people are constrained to just the Taiwan market, that might not give them an opportunity to expand as much as they'd like to.
Yes, correct. You will be correct in saying that Taiwanese has been entrepreneurial for many decades, and it has been hardware industry in the past. I'm saying that there are a lot of things they can do outside of hardware, and there are a lot of things you can go outside of Taiwan. And just that we just need to have that environment for people to get used to. And so we're hoping that EST can provide that environment.
What do you think are some of the key insights? Now, I'm sure that you haven't had an opportunity to listen into every single conversation that's happened there, but what do you think would be an example of some of the insights that a Taiwanese entrepreneur might learn from speaking to some of these international guests that go to these events?
They can certainly learn the things, things as simple as, what do you have for breakfast in the States? If you don't even know what they have for breakfast in the States, how can you say, you'll be able to build a product or a service that is actually demanded by those from the States? Because, the same thing, you say you can go to China because you can speak the language, but you don't really know what they do on a daily basis. What the things that they use, how. If you are doing a tech product, how tech savvy they are. There are a lot of things you need to learn before you can actually venture out. And really, the world is so global right now. You don't really have to step outside of the national boundary just to get the learning done. The learning can be done here. It's not from school. School can't really teach all that. You just have to go out to the community to meet the right people. And fortunately, the right people are here in Taiwan. And so why don't you make a start? And so, if you really come down to it, it's about user experience. Mm-hmm. How can you make someone from another country like your product? Mm-hmm. It all comes down to user experience. If they don't like your product because they have a bad experience, then it means that you don't really know you don't really know the market well enough. Mm-hmm. And the thing works even if you are in the local market. Mm-hmm. So
And so to understand what's going to give somebody a good user experience, you need to understand what they like, and understand what they like. You have to meet them. You have to know these people.
Yes, definitely. You have to know these people, and you have to know how they do things, how they think, how they speak. There are too many things. It's not that easy actually. It's not just a case of doing a survey,
right? And
then people will give you some general answers, and then you can say to yourself, yes, this is what Taiwan is about. It's not. That's not
right.
that. The same thing can be perceived differently in different countries. Same product, same services, but it's perceived completely different, or it's used differently in different places. So we just have to find out, one by one from talking to different people. The best way is actually to talk to people. What do you like this product? Do you see any deficiency? Or do you see any shortcomings with a lot of things they were trying to do, or is this something that you need at all? It's really talking to. It's really this. You can only do this through talking. It's not things that you can. Yes, you can read from the books, you can read from the reports, but it's really about talking to people, getting that. Sometimes the best answer is not via words. It's not through words. It's through through observing how they react. It's nonverbal.
Right. So now, of course, there's going to be a different group of people at your events. It's in English, so there's also going to be some international entrepreneurs. What kind of help do they need? What kind of entrepreneurial environment and support do they need to be successful in Taiwan?
Having a legal background, I will first tend to say as the first answer, it's going to be the legal knowledge. You have.
Well, that's tricky. That's hard to understand.
It is. Don't get me wrong. The country is very foreigner friendly, but in terms of the regulations, when it comes to the legal side of the matter, it's not actually that foreigner friendly.
Right.
I'm a foreigner, so I have experienced it firsthand. But that's just only the first hurdle. You have to understand what Taiwanese want. Taiwan as a country is very, in a sense, it's very receptive to a lot of foreign things. If it's hot and it's trendy, it doesn't matter whether it's come from the States, it doesn't matter whether it's come from Korea or from Japan, from China. People here would like to try it. But then again, the fact that they will try your product doesn't mean that they will like it. So you will have to go deeper, and so it's really for foreigners who want to make it successful. You have, like I said already, many times, you have to talk to a lot of people.
But you're saying if maybe this foreign entrepreneur doesn't have that cultural experience or hasn't built any relationships with local Taiwanese, there might just be something little that kind of throws the product off and makes it, like you said, the user experience not quite work in Taiwan.
Yes, correct. So they just have to find out what it is. I mean, that secret ingredient that make the sauce work. So
when people attend these events, what do you think is the way that these events can help address some of those issues that these foreigners face? Is it just a matter of gaining face time with local Taiwanese? Is it a matter of meeting people who understand the regulations and getting them to help out? What is the way that this is helping out?
They can certainly get a lot of help from not just the legal side of things, but also accounting side. Knowing who can provide what help.
Just meeting the right people.
And also if you need a channel, maybe some of the people in the crowd, in the audience, they can provide that kind of help. I mean, maybe they've gone through the process and they can really, or maybe they can be your co-workers or your co-founders for some reason. There are a lot of things you need to get to.
So it does seem like there are quite a few foreign entrepreneurs in Taiwan. Why do you suppose that this is a place that they would choose to start a business? What would their interest be in starting a business in Taiwan?
A lot of foreigners I've met, although they're trying to do a startup, I'm surprised that they're not all entirely that focused on the local market. It's not really about the more local market. They're just using Taiwan as a jumping board
to get into China.
Not necessarily to China, but to the world. It's surprising that if they can do this, why can't the local Taiwanese do that? Because Taiwan does have a good infrastructure when it comes to doing a startup. I'm not saying the government is the most startup friendly government in the world. I'm just saying that there are a lot of things. I hate to say that things are more affordable here by comparison, but it is actually a fact that there are a lot. It's actually more affordable to do a startup here. and the cost of living is much lower compared to, I don't know, if you want to compare yourself to Hong Kong, to Silicon Valley, it's no, or to China, Beijing. It's not just nowhere comparable. It's just much easier here. And there's another thing that I mentioned earlier about the Taiwan being a very receptive community to foreign products, foreign ideas. That also helps in the sense that if the products can work here in Taiwan, there's some legitimacy in saying that the product can probably work as well in other countries because of this, the country being so receptive to a lot of foreign ideas, foreign things. And so it's actually a good place to test out your products, to test out your ideas. And Taiwan has a lot, like I say, it has a lot of infrastructure. It has, the hardware industry already. If you are into doing the hardware products, then you can always leverage on the supply chain that you have here. A lot of management techniques they have, a lot of the connection they have to the factories in China or elsewhere, because of how they have perfected the production techniques. And that's just that is just a lot of things you can leverage,
right, to
make it work. And plus, it's close to a lot of markets. It's close to Japan and close to China and Korea as well, of course. China, Southeast Asia. It's in a very good position to really launch any startup in a sense. And I think that a lot of foreigners do see the advantage of doing the startups in Taiwan because it doesn't have to be for the Taiwan market. It can be for elsewhere. It's just a good launching pad.
Right.
And that's what it is.
For your events, there are themes to some of these events. It's not just about mixing and mingling and meeting other people. There's actually specific topics that you guys are taking on so people can learn a little bit more about these issues. Can you take us through a couple of these topics that you guys are tackling and explain a little bit why this is something that it would be important for an entrepreneur in Taiwan to know a little bit more about?
We started with the speaker night event. So that's an event where you have either entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs, or a venture capitalist to come and share, whatever they have, whatever that is on their mind. We also have the Woman Entrepreneurs Night, and that's a place where female entrepreneurial females can come and share about their stories. So far, we've only had legal workshops, and where entrepreneurs can come and learn about the local regulation when it comes to doing a startup.
Right, and you were saying that that's tough for a lot of foreign entrepreneurs.
That is tough because a lot of the information are not actually available in the English language. It's a real problem for a lot of foreigners because they can't really get to a lot of these professional people, like lawyers and accountants who can actually speak the language.
Right.
But like I said, the workshop is basically telling people some of the basics. When it comes to taking care of the legal side of the business, and the information is not always readily available.
Right.
So once you make it easier for people to gain the right information, in one 2-hour session. So and there's gonna be a pitch night. We want to implement maybe starting from next year, where people can just genuinely come. Doesn't matter when you're local or you're foreigner, come and talk about your ideas that you have. Maybe several people. It's going to be a pitch night, so there's going to be several teams.
Sharpen up your skills to kind of market yourself, sell your ideas.
Yes, for local Taiwanese, it will be sharpening their their pitch. But foreigners, it will be generally talking to the audience. Maybe because they're bound to be a lot of Taiwanese in the audience, and basically just trying to test out the market, and
learn a little bit more about what people want,
and see if they can get some feedback.
So this is something that obviously you're very passionate about. You've put a lot of work into promoting entrepreneurship and promoting this group.
Yep.
Why do you think that entrepreneurship and having more entrepreneurs is something that's important for Taiwan?
I think it is important enough for the older generation. It's important for the younger generation because I've seen a lot of issues with the salary that they have. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about how low the salary is, and that it has been the case for many years and has not been better. I mean, I'm just trying to do what I can to see if we can influence that to some extent in terms of trying to get the young people get involved in entrepreneurship. I mean, entrepreneurship is probably one of the better ways to change something for the better. It is the kind of entrepreneurship that can be instilled in these young people that can cause them to see the world differently. They will not say, okay, this is a problem I cannot solve. But they will turn around and say, okay, this is something that I can solve, and I'm gonna solve it in a different way as opposed to just talking about it. Because talking about it doesn't really change too many things. You have to start somewhere.
So it's about making people feel like they can create their own opportunities and not necessarily accept these lower and lower salaries.
Yes. Yes. That's one of the way to go about things. Of course, there are a lot of ways to deal with the low salary situation. If this is something you can handle, something you can cure, why don't you do it yourself? Instead of trying to rely on external help. Taiwan has a lot of very talented young people. It's kind of sad to see that they don't know the way out of it. They're really talented, they're really bright, and they went to good school. They have really good education. There are a lot of things that can be done. The opportunities are out there.
Do you see attitudes towards entrepreneurship maybe shifting in the younger generation? Because obviously a lot of Taiwan's economic success is founded on small lots and like a constellation of small companies kind of sprouting up.
Yes.
And so that's definitely how the older generation kind of made their buck, made their fortune. Do you feel like that's something that's changing? People are a little bit more reluctant to take that risk and start their own business now?
I can't say for everyone, but there are certainly a segment of the society when it comes to the younger generation that they are not that daring when it comes to stepping out of their comfort zone and doing something different. So I'm saying, can we do something to influence their mindset? But it's not so much about just teaching them, giving them book knowledge. It's about letting them have the right experience it. So I think if we can achieve that, with a lot of the events that we do, and they can come and see it for themselves and talk to people, and then maybe that can put a seed in them for making the change later.
All right. Jeffrey Ling is the founder and head of Entrepreneur Society Taiwan. Jeffrey, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You can learn more about the group and its upcoming events on its Facebook page. That's it for the show today. As always, we'd love to hear what you thought of the program. You can leave us a comment on our Facebook page, rate and review Taiwan Talk on iTunes, or visit us on our blog. Thanks for listening to Taiwan Talk. For ICRT, I'm Keith Menconi.